All right, welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really cool question. How do we take these massive, complicated ideas in science and, well, make them actually make sense? Let's dive in.
You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a textbook or an equation, and you feel like the idea is right there, but you just can't quite grab it. We've all been there. But honestly, it doesn't have to be that way.
So in this explainer, we're going to break down some simple but really powerful techniques that can turn a super confusing topic into something that is just crystal clear. We're going to look at the tools that make science something for everyone.
Okay, first up, how in the world do you explain something that is literally impossible to see?
I mean, really think about it. Everything, the chair you're sitting on, the air you're breathing, it's all made of atoms. They are the fundamental building blocks of, well, everything. But they're so ridiculously small we can't see them. So where do you even start?
Well, you start by breaking it down into its pieces. So first, right in the center, in what we call the nucleus, you've got the proton. And the key thing to remember here, it's got a positive charge. Just think P for proton, P for positive. Easy enough.
Hanging out with the protons in the nucleus are the neutrons. And just like their name suggests, they are neutral. They don't have any charge at all. They just kind of add some bulk, some mass to the center. And finally, you've got these little guys zipping around the outside of the nucleus. Those are the electrons. They're super, super tiny, way smaller than protons or neutrons, and they carry a negative charge. So you put all that together and you get the whole picture. You've got your positive protons and your neutral neutrons crammed into the middle with these tiny negative electrons orbiting around them. That simple little setup, that's the cheat sheet for pretty much everything that exists.
And this, right here, is one of the most powerful tools we have for explaining something you can't see, an analogy. The second you compare an atom to a solar system, something we can all picture, that confusing abstract idea suddenly clicks into place. It just makes sense.
Now, here's the most important part. Out of all those particles, it all boils down to one thing, the number of protons. That's it. An atom with 1 proton is always hydrogen. One with 6 protons is always carbon. That single number is like the element's ID card. It's what makes it, well, it.
All right, so we've tackled the invisible. Let's move on to our next big challenge. How do you explain abstract forces, things we can feel but can't actually see?
We've all heard this before, right? It's Newton's first law, or inertia. But what does that really feel like? How do you make an invisible law of physics stick in your brain? You can't just talk about it, you have to experience it.
And this is exactly where hands-on experiments are absolute game changers. When you build a little parachute like this, you're not just reading about physics. You are physically working with forces like gravity and air resistance. You can actually feel how they work against each other, and that turns an abstract idea into a real, tangible memory.
Okay, so we've got the tiny things and the abstract things down. But what about stuff that's just huge and super complex? You know, like an entire biological process.
Well, the strategy here is surprisingly simple. Instead of getting bogged down in every little detail, you just focus on the most essential pieces of the puzzle, what goes into the system and what comes out.
Let's take photosynthesis, for example. It is an incredibly complicated chemical process, but we can understand its core purpose by just simplifying it. It all starts with 3 inputs. A plant takes in sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. Then it works its magic and produces 2 outputs. Glucose, that's sugar, it's food, and the oxygen that we all need to breathe. Simple, clean, and totally understandable.
So when you look at all these different methods, using analogies, doing hands-on experiments, breaking down big systems, what's the one thing they all have in common? The secret sauce is all about making a shift. It's about moving from just passively listening to facts to actively participating in your own discovery. It's about asking questions and building the understanding for yourself. So here it is. This is our toolkit for making science click. We used an analogy to picture the invisible atom. We used a hands-on activity to feel abstract forces. We broke down a complex system to understand photosynthesis. And we found that one core rule, the atomic number, that defines what an element is. These are the keys to unlocking understanding.
And that brings me to my last thought for you. With these tools in mind, what's one big, complicated idea that maybe feels a little less intimidating now? Something you feel like you could actually explain to someone else? Because that, right there, that's the moment you know an idea has truly clicked.